In this video, we're going to take a look at the present value function in Excel. The present value function's name is PV, and it can be used in several ways. One way is to determine how much you can afford to borrow if you know how much you can afford to make in regular payments. And again, usually these things are calculated monthly, but they don't have to be. So here's the sample problem. We know we can afford payments of $1,000 every month. The interest rate on the loan will be 8% a year, and we will make 12 monthly payments at the end of each month. The loan will be paid back over a period of 30 years, and the balance owed at that time will be zero. How much can we afford to borrow? So you might use this if you are you're looking for a house, and you know how much you can afford to pay each month, but you don't really know what that'll buy you in terms of a house. This will give you the answer to that. So let's start filling in the numbers. Our first number here is payment is $1,000, so let's go payment here and type in 1,000. And the loan will be 8%. Those are always given as an annual rate, so let's put 8 up there. And this looks like a mortgage problem, so those are usually 30 years. We do monthly payments, so that's 12. And since I put the 12 in there, it can calculate the rate per month, and it can calculate the number of months or the number of periods. Okay. Our starting balance is what we're trying to figure out. Let's gray that one out. We'll put the answer over here. And we are making our payments at the end of the month, which is a 0. The ending balance is going to be 0. We're going to pay off the entire loan. So this number right here will tell us how much we can afford to borrow if we can pay back $1,000 a month for 30 months, making monthly payments at an annual rate of 8%. So we're going to use the PV function. Let's go to our formulas tab up here, go to the financial group, and let's scroll down to PV. And we get our function arguments dialog box, and our rate, remember, is always the rate per period. It's not the annual rate, it's the rate per period. The number of periods is the 360 down here. Click on C9. The payment, remember, is always negative. Put a minus sign in front of it, and then click on C6. Future value is C7, which is the number 0, and the type is going to be down here in C10. Okay, so it looks like we can afford to borrow $136,000. Let's click on OK, and $136,283.49. So if these are the conditions, then that's how much you can afford to borrow. If the interest rate is lower, which is something everybody likes, especially realtors, then instead you can afford to borrow $166,000. So the lower the interest rate, without changing your payment, the more you can afford to borrow and still pay the amount back. And let's check on this again. Is that a reasonable number? It's hard to say. So let's go back up here and let's put in some numbers. We can probably figure out the answer in our head. So we'll do 10%, which is easy to calculate. We'll do 1 year, which is easy to calculate in your head. And we're going to do a payment of $1,000. And how much can we afford to borrow and pay back? Well, if we make a $1,000 payment every month for 12 months, we're going to be paying $12,000. Now, part of that is going to go towards the interest, though. And the interest on $12,000, 10% of that would be $1,200, but we're paying it off as we go. So it looks like we're going to end up paying about $700 in interest instead of $12. So that looks like a reasonable number. So we probably had our formula correct in the first place. But it's always a good idea to check to make sure that your numbers are reasonable.